From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, Mellow Mike, Norvell showing poise in the lead up to a pivot point. Everyone signed up for 3 and 2 back in August, so why the angst? And it's the Mailbag Show. Let's generate discussion, sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Vitamin Energy works faster and longer. It's energy with benefits. The energy lasts up to 7+ hours throughout your day because there's 260 milligrams of all natural caffeine and no sugar crash. Body nourishing vitamins, accelerates your metabolism for a healthy gut as well. And when you use the promo code warchantbogo over at vitaminenergy.com, as most of us know, you buy one, you get one free. That's right, warchantbogo, buy one, get one free. Synergistically formulated, it's the goods. Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, shake it and take it. Warchant.com. Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Lots going on over at the Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Hope you guys were able to listen to Jeff Cameron and Ira Schofel on the Jeff Cameron Show segment that we talked about yesterday. I hope you're able to tune into the Monday Smash. Hope you're able to read Corey's column after Monday's press conference. There's a lot that goes with being a member at warchant.com. We implore you. We impel you. There's a commercial out there, Corey, by the way, of this actor for a law firm commercial, and it is so over the top, and people might know that what I'm talking about, but I didn't do enough of the he's like, I can't even, it's crazy. I'm ruining the entire story. I'm going to stop talking, and now I'm going to just say, what's up, Corey? Take over. How are you, friend?
What's up, Aslan? How are you, buddy?
Melancholy.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, man, we're still alive, right?
We are.
The sun was out Monday.
We are.
Well, I got out of jury duty.
Yeah,
things are great,
that's
folks.
Right, that's right.
I shouldn't say I got out of jury duty. That makes it sound like I intentionally got out of it. I just wasn't called. They had the morning report crew and the afternoon report crew, and they emailed me and told me I didn't have to show up, that I had fulfilled my duty, and I'm sure they'll call me again in 8 months because it's crazy in Tallahassee, folks. Once they call you once, you're on for a while. They're going to keep calling you. I saw a guy, not that anybody cares, I saw a kid, he must have been 27. He was a juror in the Donna Adelson trial, which was a very big trial here in Tallahassee from a very famous crime. And he must have been 27, and he said it was like the 5th or 6th jury he's already served on.
Ooh.
Man, they get somebody in their sights that like, yeah, they're going to report. He's like, buddy, you're locked and loaded. You're a juror. You're a juror for life.
Nice. Doing the civic duty.
Yeah, that's
appreciate
right.
it. All right. Well, Corey, let's we've done some preamble. Let's get right to it, man. Your story headline is, with FSU desperate for a win, Norvell surprisingly calm, confident. And yeah. I don't know where I land on this, Corey. I mean, I do not disagree at all with your premise from yesterday's show about there's so much riding on this Pitt game. Win it, and you got some momentum and probably a likely win against Stanford following that bye week. You can regroup, Wake Forest. Things are all right. But you lose that Pitt game, and then all sorts of nightmare scenarios are on the table. But for some reason, I don't feel this level of like panic and doom and gloom. Like I realize it exists out there, but it's not like an overwhelming sense of it. What was your sense of Mike Norvell? That seemed to be a large part of the crux of your column, just reading kind of his comments, his body language, his tone. What did you take away from Mike Norvell after that Miami loss, processing, and then what he said to us on Monday?
Didn't he seem like relaxed and calm? Which, again, it's just words, and it's just body language. Who cares if his team goes out? If his team goes out and loses to Pitt and turns it over 4 times, nobody's going to care about the Monday press conference. But it wasn't. We've all seen it, man. It's been 6 years. We all know the Norvell that gets in the press conferences and all rah-rah, resolute, strident. We're going to get this thing fixed. It wasn't that. He was just kind of calm, as if he knows the answers to the test already, and he really thinks he's got a good team that's had a hiccup. And as long as they don't screw up themselves and do dumb things in the course of a game, they're going to win a lot more football games. That's the impression I got. It also might be just relaxed because he's making $10 million a year and life's pretty good. So who knows? you can't read too much into this stuff, but I having covered his press conferences now for 6 years, I was expecting a different kind of Mike Norvell. He was still kind of playful before, after. It didn't seem like the pressure was on him at all. Which, again, maybe that's because you have a $10 million. There's no real pressure when you're guaranteed a $50 million. Life's good. But still, he's a competitor. He knows how big this game is. He knows how disappointing that game on Saturday night was. And I just thought the way he was in that press conference was like he thinks he's got a really good football team still. And I don't disagree. He kind of got me back on board.
Sounds like it.
Talk to me at 3:30 on Saturday. Might be a whole different ball game. But right now, it's like, yeah, man, Florida State, they lost in double overtime on the road to a top 18 team, and they lost to what may be the best team in the country by 6 points. Again, it was 28-3. I understand. But the final is the final. It was 28-22, and his team had 30 first downs against the number 2 team in the country. There's a lot to like, and the fact that they fought like they did really is a lot to like. And he said he loves coaching this team, which is not something he said last year. So this is not just normal coach speak. By the way, we'll be back with better audio this week. That was odd what happened this past week, but we're back on board this week with a brand new show. So I was just struck by that. But again, I'm not going to put too much stock into it, but I do think that he thinks that he's got a very good team and that they have a chance to go on a real run. And I don't disagree. But everything comes down to this game. If they lose this game, all bets are off. If they win this game, everything on the table. So they need to win this game.
What did you think about his reaction? I think when I don't know, it was you that asked him that second to last question when he had his sarcastic comment about Alabama, like, we beat Alabama, a formidable team, but apparently they weren't good. Now they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of me was like, that's funny, clever. But part of me is also like, that felt extremely passive aggressive in terms of like, no one is giving me credit like me. And I don't think he's saying like us as a team. I think it's like, it's his name, it's his job, it's his program. So I think a lot of it is, like, nobody ever gives Mike Norvell proper credit, right? Like, he gets snubbed out of the playoff. He doesn't win these recruiting battles. People think that he's not, built for this, quote unquote. And then he goes and beats this, blue blood standard program for so long and then doesn't really get proper credit that he feels like he should have gotten, which is funny because they go from unranked to being ranked, like in the top 10 almost, just off that one win. So he did get a lot of notoriety for that. But I don't know, to me, that felt like, man, he's getting very agitated about the questions surrounding like his acumen and his ability to lead this program.
I didn't read it like that. I thought it was the narrative that it didn't matter because it was a different Alabama team. And we've already heard that. That was the first game of the season. It's a completely different team now. I didn't read it like that. And to give the context, the question was, I phrased it like this. I was like, it sounds like your message to your team after watching the film and showing them the plays that could have been made, which were there, and the fact that you put up 30 first downs and blah, 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 is that you think you can play with and beat anyone in the country when you guys don't screw up and you play well. And his response was, well, yeah, I think we've shown that. We played Alabama, and, and then that was the snide comment that I liked. Again, I just thought that showed a different side of him. Like, he was willing to choke around about it. He is not feeling the pressure, the anvil that's hovering over his head, which I think is a good thing, because I think if he felt that, maybe it bleeds down to the team a little bit and they feel pressure. I kind of liked that he was joking in that moment. But and then he said, yeah, when we played Alabama, they weren't a good team then. Now they're a good team. Weird how that works. But they weren't good then. But then he immediately came out and was like, but we also lost on the road to Virginia. And we lost to a rival. We earned those losses. So we are who we are right now. But blah, 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 we think we can play. When we play well and don't turn the ball over, we're as good as it. He goes, we've lost 2 games in a row to 2 good teams, and we had 6 turnovers in those 2 games. Yeah, that's a good point. It's not turnover luck, man. Like, the other team made plays. Yeah. You're allowed to make plays too on defense and create turnovers. So it's not just bad luck, it's bad football to turn the ball over. But I like that, and I also like that he pointed out because this is something he's never done. Again, you might be right. He might be trying to remind people. I think he's just trying to remind people how good his team can be when it plays well. But he's like, look, and we dominated them. I think he even used the word.
He says something like it could have been even worse if we wanted
Yeah,
it to.
I think he used the word dominated, and he's like, it could have been worse. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, man, right. Get your team to believe in that and play like that. Right? Like, if you believe that, your team needs to believe that, and they don't need to go out and fiddle fart around with Pitt. They don't need to go out and give that team hope.
But then why
and
didn't
give
they
that
believe
true
against
freshman
Virginia?
Quarterback hope.
But why didn't they believe against Virginia then? Or
think they look, man. I'm not saying that. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Yeah. And it's a message that needs to get to them. It's a message where they need to re-find that mojo, that confidence, whatever it is. They need to flush that Miami game, like I said, and take something out of that fourth quarter and move on. But when they played well, they proved it. That was not a fluky win. And Simpson made some throws. And that Bernard kid did make plays. Alabama didn't just melt down and they didn't turn the ball over at all. It wasn't like you just got lucky and they handed you the ball or handed you the game. You went and took it because I think you were the better team. Now you just wonder if that was a one-day thing or my voice cracked there. Hey. If that was a one-day thing or if that's the reality and you've played, below your level the last 2 weeks. And even still, man, I also thought it was interesting when he talked about. He's like, look, Norvell's such a interesting guy when it comes to talking about like challenges, as he'd call them. I have to speak Norvellese. I have to speak Norvell because he didn't speak it himself. But he was talking about, I don't even know if you caught this, but it's in my column. He was talking about how sometimes you go up against a team and you know you're going to lose because they're just better than you. Like, they have better players than you. And he said, I've been in these spots a lot where going into the game, even if you play your best, it's not going to work out well. And he goes, to be real, I felt that a couple of times last year. And I'm like, okay, Mike, open up a little bit. He goes, that's not this. That's not this. We have good players. This was not about them just being better. It's about us and making mistakes. And if he can truly get his team to believe that, like, the fact that they lined up wrong on defense a few times, where he said he was pissed about that, right? Yeah. Like he used the word pissed. Mm-hmm. It's look, they're going to make plays, but it's not like Miami is so much more talented than you that you had no chance to be on the field with them. You just played poorly. Now, that's an issue. But if you go out and play the way you can and don't do dumb stuff, you can win out. You can win out. Just, that's a big if, though, because they've done a lot of dumb stuff the last 2 weeks.
News of the day that we didn't touch on real quickly, though, Corey, that we should. So Quindarius Jones, who I think Norvell classified as maybe like their number 3 cornerback, out for the season, sustained an injury, I think, in the Miami game, and it will require surgery. So that's a bit of a bummer, obviously, for that young man. I don't, PFF did not have him with any snaps, but then Ira looked at the participation chart, and the Florida State does on their side, which is much more official, and they did have him credited as playing in the Miami game. I just don't remember what exactly happened.
Might have been on kickoff coverage. Honestly.
Yeah. BJ Gibson, dual sport athlete. Shout out to Matt Lasser, had the scoop on this one. He's going to focus on baseball. So I think there might have been rumors that he was going to enter the portal, but that's not the case. He's just going to walk away from football and focus on Florida State baseball full-time. What do you think about that, I guess, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that seemed to be the right play because he played more on the baseball team last year. I know he played because of injuries, but he played more on the baseball team last year than he has on this football team. And, he's not playing a lot of football. I get why baseball would be more appealing. I also think it's probably his best option at playing professional sports is playing baseball. So it's probably a good decision by him. So we'll see how good he is. But he looked pretty darn good as a freshman at times last year, having not played baseball in a year. So hopefully he takes another step and he's on the dog pile in Omaha. Is what we're hoping for.
Amen. Speaking about the Great Plains, Buffaloes Bison, where they roam. Buffalo Tom, simple question. We like those. Does FSU have the resources to compete year in and year out at the national level again? Are we insane as a fan base expecting top 10 finishes and competing for championships? I like it, Corey. I like it. It's a question I think that comes on people's minds when somebody posted on the boards the other day, and I cannot confirm it. I hate to say it out loud when I cannot confirm something, but we're all just having fun on a podcast speculating that Chandler Morris, his NIL deal, the Virginia quarterback, was like $1.2 million. Carson Beck, we heard, $4 million to leave Georgia to go to Miami. Meanwhile, the number out there on Tommy is like $800,000. So there's a bit of, rallying circling the wagons. Florida State is doing the best on their sort of limited budget, but I don't know if I exactly buy that. So let's dive into it a little bit more and let's generate discussion. Corey, if you could give us some soundtrack.
And button. Boom, did it. You're welcome, Cummins. You're welcome. Keep those checks coming, baby.
Cummins Lifestyle, it's all one word. That's their Instagram page. They ask that you follow it, and we ask that you follow. They're awesome. They support the show. Super loyal, super easygoing. We love those folks. And we believe in their products, man. Cummins has got it going on. I don't know if people say that anymore, but I just did. The portable generators, the portable power stations. I think I might look into actually getting a home backup generator on the Atlantic offices. They got your boats covered, obviously. They got your RV lifestyle. Our guy Keith keeps talking about every time I go to the tailgate. He's like, hey, man, come here. I want to show you something. I'm like, I know. You got to own a generator in your RV. And he just talks about how reliable it is, how quiet it is. Because, it's what you need. You need reliable power. You need quiet power. Cummins, the Onan line of products. That's top of the line, everybody. They've been doing it for over 100 years. Cummins Lifestyle, all one word. Give it a follow. They also want to give stuff away for free, which is incredible. The weekly winner goes into a monthly drawing for a gift bag, but every weekly winner goes into an end-of-year grand prize drawing for a portable generator or a portable power station. We have a September gift giveaway, Corey, so let's have the names on the screen. How many times do you want me to hit shuffle, friend?
3.
1, 2, 3. I did 4. Why do I keep doing that?
That's fine. Sorry, whoever it would have been third. That's on Aslan.
The winner is Mom's Sandwiches, everybody. Give it up. You had a really good question, too. It says something about it involved cheeks.
Okay,
After this last cheek clapping that we handed out or whatever. That was good. We like that. Anyways, let's get to the question from our guy, Buffalo Tom. Again, Corey, do you think Florida State has the resources to compete year in and year out at the national level, or are the fans insane for expecting a top 10 finish and competing for championships?
Yes, I do think they have the resources. Aslan, you've been on campus. That's a pretty sweet football facility they have. The renovations to the stadiums are very nice. They pay their head coach $10 million. They pay their coordinators a lot of money. They spend a ton of money on this football program, on this football staff, and on this roster. I dare say they spend more money than Indiana. So,
Arizona State?
Yeah, so Indiana is back in the conversation again. Yes, they can compete on the national stage. This is not a resource thing. It's one of the reasons I hated the way Jimbo left, because he made Florida State fans feel less than when he had I think it was the 6th highest paid coaching staff in the country at Florida State. And still, it wasn't enough. He wasn't getting enough. It was always complaints about what he didn't have, not realizing kind of what he did have, which is history, tradition, a great fan base, and a fertile recruiting ground. Florida State still has all that. They also went 13-0 2 years ago. They competed just fine 2 years ago. In 2022 and 2023, they're 23 especially. If it's a 12-team playoff, they're in it. They're also probably the 3 seed, by the way. Just a little. But since there are only 4 teams, they were the 5 seed because things are stupid. 2022, they would have been close. Probably out, but they would have been close. Yes, they can compete. I dare say they didn't lose to Virginia because Virginia has more resources. They lost to Virginia because they turned the ball over. They have not been good in the conference the last 2 years because They have not had good players, but I think that I do think they have good players this year. Last year they did not. That was misevaluation. That wasn't spending on the bottom of the barrel. I think Marvin Jones cost money. I think to keep Patrick Payton cost money. It was not money well spent. Spend your money better. But they and as you asked Norvell on Monday, Aslan, about the NIL landscape, he's right. Like, I do think it'll settle down, and everybody should be kind of on the level playing field. It's evaluation, man. It's going to come down to evaluation and development. You get the right people in here. Maybe they already are, but you get the right people in here. There's no reason. Florida State has a lot of things going for it. A lot of things. Yeah, go play at Illinois for $210,000 instead of at Florida State for $195 or whatever you think that disparity is. Good luck, man. Nobody in Champaign cares about football. So Florida State has other things going for it. Plus, they do spend money. I don't want it to sound like they're not trying to spend money. I do not. Let me just say this. Who else in the ACC spends more money than Florida State? Who's got more resources than Florida State in this conference? And yet they're 1-9 in their last 10 games.
Yeah. Well, I think people look at the Miami game because of Beck's price tag. Number 8 on defense played pretty well. The safety transfer, Jacoby Thomas.
Oh, no. I do think Miami spends more money.
Clemson,
maybe, but that's a wrap. That's it. But those aren't the only teams you've lost to the last 2 years. So start beating the people that you make more money than, or you have more resources than, or by a convincing margin, and then let's worry about if you can compete with Georgia and Ohio State. But first things first, beat Pittsburgh. I promise you they don't have the resources you do. They're not spending $10 million a year on their head coach, and their starting quarterback isn't making hundreds of thousands. It ain't making $800,000. So beat this team, and then worry about the national level when you get to the national level. But they beat Alabama this year, man. So was that they had enough resources to do that? This is just a bad stretch. It's also such a stupid sport that we love that this is a legitimate question, right? Like, nobody asks if the Jags have they have the resources to compete with the Chiefs. They all get this. That's the NFL. But here you do have to pay for your roster, and the fans have to pay for their roster, and it's just dumb. But I understand the question. I understand the angst when it comes to that. Florida State spends a lot of money on football, a lot of money.
Yeah, it does sound like it was a kind of a clumsy question. I don't really know what I was hoping to get from Norvell, but I just feel like when you think about that spring window, again, he was a Tennessee safety, number 8 on their defense. Now he was at Miami, made several big plays. Like, you were in it with him. Keelan Marion, who had that end around for like 20-something yards in the second half. That's all he did, though, really. He's a guy that you were in on and lost out to. Tony Johnson, a receiver that didn't do anything, but I think he had maybe a big catch against Notre Dame, possibly a third down conversion. Like, he's a guy that you were in on and you lost to Miami. So I think there's a feeling, and then obviously the Carson Beck price tag. I think if you're a Florida State fan, you're looking at Miami and you're thinking, like, they are outspending us. What can we do? But they also, don't turn the ball over 3 times.
Right.
It has nothing to do with your payroll, man. I don't Tommy, if you would have given Tommy $1.6 million, I don't think he's going to be more careful with the football.
I also think with Miami, it's not the best example because I think their 3 best players, no offense, Carson, are their tackle, Reuben Bain, and Malachi Toney.
Yeah.
And none of those guys are portal guys.
Yeah.
You also have to recruit, man. You have to bring in guys and get them when they're high school recruits and not wait till their price tags go up in the portal. And that is one thing that they have not done well. This staff, Mike Norvell in particular, has not done well. But that doesn't mean it can't be done at Florida State. Florida State can spend with a lot of teams. And they're going to get more money from the ACC this year because they're going to get the highest ratings of any team in the conference. So that will help too. They will have more millions to spend. And you just got to spend. You've got to use your money better. You've got to spend it better. Also, Norvell, give $5 million a year to the NIL. Do what you got to do, buddy. Do what you got to do.
Just a bit of a anecdotal example, but you retained Roydell Williams. You went after Gavin Sawchuk. Virginia went and got Jamari Taylor from North Carolina A&T.
Right. That's evaluation, right? That's not, they didn't outspend you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Florida State does have and I get it. It's coming off the Miami game. That's a team that, I think to Mike's point that he kind of made, I think on Monday, was that there's a lot of that front loading stuff that kind of happened before the rev share thing went into gear. So I do think right now there is levels of disparity right now that I think will get leveled off starting next season. A lot of like Texas Tech. I don't know if Texas Tech's going to be able to do what they're doing right now. They saw that window to get all their contracts front loaded to get kids on campus this season to make a run. They're not going to be able to do that theoretically next time around. So maybe we won't see these huge discrepancies and disparities. But again, I don't think Virginia has a higher payroll than you, man. Their defensive line acquisition was from like UNLV. You went and got guys from Nebraska. That's
Tennessee.
And Tennessee.
Got a guy from Tennessee, yeah. Yep. Agreed,
Anyways,
Aslan.
Good question. Good stuff out of Corey, and even better stuff over at Cummins Lifestyle. Give it a follow. Check out all the awesome things you can do with your outdoor lifestyle, your recreational activities when you've got portable power. Portable power that's reliable and quiet, coming from a industry power leader for over 100 years. It's Cummins Lifestyle. Give it a follow on Instagram. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. It's where you want to be if you're in the mood for delicious food, ice cold drinks, and just an overall fun time. Later today, trivia night, 7 p.m. kickoff. Thursday night, bingo, 4 rounds, $250 in cash money up for grabs in each single round. And then don't forget Friday, happy hour returns, the meet and greet, warchant.com, hanging out the CP with you folks. Maybe we'll bring some more vitamin energy again. Get the mood up. It's going to be a nooner. Y'all might need a shot of it before you get ready for that noon game, but try the Corey wrap. Try the corn dog bites. Our guy Augie Knoll, I should have had this comment pulled up on YouTube, but commented that he co-signed Corey and said that. And we didn't do our shout-outs. We need to do our shout-outs, by the way, at the end of this show, which is going to be a long one because it's the mailbag. But he co-signed the corn dog bites. So there's believers out there, Corey.
The truth.
Believers out
there's
there.
There's a lot of things to co-sign on that menu, though. It's not called Corn Dog Pocket. They got other stuff out there. It's just I've been obsessed with those things for about a month now.
Go give them a try. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. The following message is brought to you by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year BetterHelp is saying, thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. Their 12 plus years of experience and industry-leading match fulfillment rate means they typically get it right the first time. BetterHelp has served over 5 million people globally, and it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. Listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/warchant. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/warchant. We are back. It is Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it, take it. A little 2-for-1 here, Corey. Our guy, Nole for Life, class of 2007. A lot of this probably kind of echoes some of the stuff that we talked about during generating discussion, but Nole for Life, class of 2007 and Jimbo 11. We start off with Nole for Life. Am I crazy? I thought many believed that after 5 games, we would be 3-2. Alabama and Coral Gables were both penciled in as losses, and it was the expectation that we would win the other 3 games on our schedule. I feel like preseason, if you asked most of us, we would have been fine with 3-2. The Bama win overinflated the minds of many what the season would be. I feel like we're exactly on track with our preseason projections. Preseason win total is mainly 7-8. After 5 games, we're still on track for that, right? Help me out here. What am I missing? And then Jimbo 11 said, I've been a Seminole since 74, back to the Mudra years. Our fans think we should never lose a game. And every game we do lose, it's time to fire the coach. My question to the staff is, what do you think about calls to fire Norvell just a month after we beat Alabama and have 2 one-score losses against the number 2 team in the nation and a top 20 team.
Yeah. No, I anybody that's saying that Norvell needs to be fired now, it just doesn't make sense. But, I think as I did yesterday, you start to project what is this season going to be like. And again, it's everything that's that game on Saturday. Really, honestly, the next 3 games, lose any of them, you're in real trouble. If you win them all, I think you're okay. I shouldn't say that. But it would lead me to think you're okay. But if you lose any of these next 3, he's in real trouble because the reality is this season started out with 2 wins. You were 2-0. So if you finish 7-5 or 6-6, that means you went 5-5 or 4-6 in your real games. And you're 1-9 in your last 10 ACC games or whatever it is. It's gross. And there's no excuse for this at Florida State in year 6. But you can't be a victim of your own success in the sense that, you beat Alabama, so now you get to lose to Virginia and everything's okay. I mean, the losses still count. The losses still hurt. And expectations do change. And so when you do beat an Alabama, yeah, man, people are going to be more disappointed when you lose to Virginia. And then you look like you looked Saturday night against Miami. So that's where it comes from. But, yes, we have to see how the next month plays out. I think he's put together a good roster and a good coaching staff. I think that was an embarrassing effort for 3 quarters on Saturday. But that does not mean this is an embarrassing program or embarrassing football team. It was an embarrassing 3 quarters. And there's nothing embarrassing about losing to Miami by 6 points. So we'll see where it goes. I agree that 3-2 after 5 games is kind of on where you thought they'd be, but when you win your first game against Alabama by 14 points, it could have been worse, according to your head coach. Now you're 0-2 in your last 2 games, and you haven't won another real game yet. And so that's where the frustration comes from. And coming on the heels of, what happened in 2024, that's where the, people, the angst. And if you go 7-5 or 6-6, meaning that you kind of tank down the stretch again, man, there's going to be cause for change. This is Florida State. 2-10 followed by 6-6 or 7-5 ain't it. And they have put a lot of money into this program. And they gave him really top-flight assistant coaches and some money to spend on a roster. And, you lose to Virginia. If you lose to Pitt or Wake or Stanford, come on, man. There's really no excuse for stuff like that. But I don't think they will. So we'll all be singing his praises hopefully in a month.
If they would have pulled an LSU 22, but let's say they won 24-21 over Alabama, Bama shanks a 36-yard field goal to tie the game. Do we look at it any different, the 3-2 they're at now, had they not shown to be a potential juggernaut the way they looked against Alabama in week 1? But to your point again, you can't be a victim of your own success either.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but that didn't happen. But you're right. I mean, if it had, you'd be like, well, maybe they were lucky to beat Alabama. This is kind of who they are. And it might be who they are. They're an up and down, inconsistent team. That's not great, but it might be who they are. But yeah, they did beat Alabama by 2 touchdowns. And then they go and they're down by 25 points at home to a good Miami team. But as we've talked about for the last month, there are no great teams. Why was Florida only down 6 going into the fourth quarter? It's weird, right? Do you think Florida fans felt better about their loss to Miami than Florida State fans? I think they lost by 20 points, right? And you lost by 6.
No,
but they were in the game. They were in the game in the fourth quarter, down by 6 points with a chance to go win.
26-7. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about, Aslan.
I can't believe it.
And I get sick and tired. I get sick and tired of you questioning me all the time. No, but I wonder, because they were in the game in the fourth quarter. It was a real game. And they got an interception in midfield and had a chance to go take the lead. A loss is a loss, though. Yeah. I don't know that Florida fans were all fired up after that game either. But, they seemed to play better for 3 quarters. They weren't getting run out of their own stadium like you did. But then you fought back and showed some heart. You didn't just quit and let them score let him beat you by 20 points. So I don't know. I don't know what to take out of that loss.
Long one. I what I do now, Corey, is I go and read every single question beforehand, and then I write on my notepad basically just like a quick synopsis of what the question is going to be. And recently, when it's been random_John, I've just wrote his name. Just because it's his questions that are just very long. Come on, John. Sharpen the pencil, champ.
It's all right. It's all right, John.
Good morning, Aslan and Corey. FSU hasn't won an ACC game since December 2nd, 2023. Let that sink in.
That's not true.
That's not true at all. Yeah, they beat Cal last
California last year. Yeah.
All right, so we could have just removed that whole part of our question.
Right. But the point remains, they hadn't been stacking them.
Yeah.
Not a lot of stacked ACC wins.
All right, a lot of angst in this one, everybody, so I apologize. How can that be? With a coach now in his 6th year at the helm of one of college football's most iconic brands, how is it possible that after all this time we're still asking questions about the line play? Why hasn't Mike Norvell recruited the offensive and defensive lines better by now? Why don't high-caliber trench players flock here en masse? We are Florida State, so why does it feel like we're still years away from having 2 dominant lines of scrimmage? How can that be with a coach in his 6th year at FSU of all places? And as the days and years pass, that 19-game winning streak feels more and more like lightning in a bottle, a flash of brilliance, but not something that's been built to last. And to be clear, I am not advocating for his firing. That would be too expensive and pointless at this stage. I'm just starting to accept this new reality for FSU under Mike Norvell. What say you about all of this?
Yeah, I mean, nothing about that is unfair. I would say that I do think they have some dudes on the defensive line of scrimmage. The offensive line of scrimmage is clearly a question mark because but I say this, I think the offensive line's been good this year. Yeah. Nobody does well against Miami. Notre Dame recruits their tails off on the offensive line. They didn't do great against Miami until the 4th quarter. They kind of caught fire a little bit, and I think Notre Dame has a good offense, but they didn't that night for most of it. But it's a fair point. I think his biggest challenge is his biggest detriment, negative that he's had since he's been here is he hasn't loaded this roster with high-level high school talent. He just hasn't. I think this class he just brought in, the 2025 class, is his best one. He's got 10 guys that I think have played already. The Arnaud kid is going to start playing a lot at safety. He played a good bit in that game. So you're talking about with Boggs and Cromaw and the Desir twins and Kevin Wynn, they have guys. Well, I guess Danzy's a redshirt freshman, but this freshman class seems to be the most ready, the best players. So maybe this coaching staff, along with Norvell, has helped him evaluate better, where he can bring impact players out of the high school ranks, because that has not happened really at all. But the 19-game winning streak wasn't that long ago. And you're right, it has been, even if we go by the real facts that it was last September, was their last, I guess it was September, right? They played Cal? Wasn't that the 3rd game of the year?
Yep.
4th game of the year?
Yep.
That's the last time they won an ACC game. They did start, as it turned out, with 2 tough ACC games. There is a chance, a decent one, not at least a decent chance, right, that they go 6-2 in the ACC. It sucks right now because we're glomming on how this season has started in conference play to how it was last year in conference play. But come on, man, this team is different than that team. So I get the results of the results, but let's see how this weekend plays out. Let's see how this month plays out before we start saying like he can't win conference games or it's over. They've reached their zenith with him. Because this is a different season. This might just be a blip. Everybody loses games. Maybe he got his 2 out of the way right here. And in December, when you're sending us a question, random_John, you'll be talking about the extension he just signed because he got him into the playoff. I don't expect that to happen, but it could. There's no guarantee that it won't. But right now, it's I don't know, man. It's like it's.
What's your percentage of Florida State finishes the regular season 10-2?
Well, right now,
20%. Whew. I like that. That's good. It's good. 381 days. 381 days, by the way, everybody, since the Cal game.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, there you go. A little math, a little quick math. The line of scrimmage, all of those questions are fair, but I will say this. That started before Norvell. Jimbo's last few years, the line of scrimmage was not good. Willie's years were a joke.
Why we got to bring up the past, man? I'm
just saying, it feels like it's not even a Norvell-specific thing. Right. It is just a Florida State-specific thing. And even the year in 2013 where they had a bunch of dudes that went to the NFL, Brian Stork was a converted tight end. Cameron Irving was a converted defensive tackle. And Matthias and, was it Trey Jackson?
Yep.
Those were guys that were kind of late offers. Like they don't flock here. They haven't flocked here since Jimmy Higgins was the offensive line coach. That was 2 decades ago. So I don't know why that is. That is a weird thing that I would love to get fixed. Maybe it's in the process of getting fixed. But I don't think you could look at this particular team and say the offensive line is a problem. I just think they played not great on Saturday, but they played some real dudes on Saturday as well. And they still had 30 first downs.
It is crazy. They've had all different personalities too, right? Like you had Trickett, then you had you had Randy Clements, then
Greg
you had
Fry.
Greg
Don't
Fry.
forget Greg Fry.
That's right, the great Greg Fry, and then you had Alex Atkins, right? Like you've had guys that are salty dog, been around forever, gruff dudes. You've had a younger, cooler, more able to relate, but also Alex Atkins also gave those guys a lot of crap. He was not like an easy coach by any means. And then they got Herb Hand, who's maybe kind of like the best of both worlds, and he's done it. I mean, he's got the best resume. He has the best resume out of all those. I don't know. I'll give Trickett an edge. Trickett set an offensive line that won a national championship, but for sure everything post that time frame. So it is interesting, man, because there's been different head coaches, there's been different position coaches. But
it's just bizarre.
We just cannot, those 5-star big, like Reuben Bain. They were in it for Reuben Bain. Couldn't finish it. They were in for that Josh Petty kid, which I don't even do anything for Georgia Tech, but he was highly recruited and he ends up picking Georgia Tech over you. So bit of a bummer.
But real quick, I don't want to say that I don't understand that question or that
sentiment.
The sentiment, because it's 100% true. I just want to see how this next month plays out before we just think that Florida State is done and he just can't win. I just want to see. I really do think there is a chance that these are their only 2 losses, at least until November. And I think there's a good chance they go to Clemson. I want to say this. They better be 6-2 when they go to Clemson. And if they are, they're going to be like 15th or 16th in the country right in the playoff hunt. And then they at least are relevant in November. They are playing relevant football in November, which coming off last season is an enormous step up. It's just right now we're in the muck of a 2-game losing streak. So everything is negative with good reason because, again, those first 3 quarters were gross, and you should have beaten Virginia. Let's be honest. You got more talent. You got more resources than Virginia. You should have beaten Virginia.
And not to go any much longer than we need to on this question, but like we're lamenting line play, right? But like think about the last 15 years. Other than, Cam Ward and what Miami had to do to get Carson back, they never had a quarterback. I bet even Texas fans are like, when can we get another good – how do we not have a great quarterback? We are the University of Texas. We are the cradle of high school football. All these guys that leave here end up being really good. Because since Colt McCoy, they have not had an ice-cold quarterback. Like Quinn Ewers is all right. Like Quinn Ewers was talented. He had a pretty strong arm, but like he was not a very, clutch quarterback. He did not perform really well in really big moments for Texas. Arch Manning has not lived up to his vast, hype, if you want to call it that. There's so many programs out there that probably point to that sort of stuff. I mean, think about Michigan for the longest time until they finally turned at some point. But for 20 years, like, why can we not get to like a New Year's Six bowl here? Why can we not? We got Jim Harbaugh. We can't even win with him. What is wrong with us? So it's not just a Florida State centric problem. There's so many other programs. Basically, what I'm trying to say that quarterback's the most important position. I know you need an offensive line, defensive line, but Florida State's done all right at that position over the last 15 years. There's a lot of other people that are really jealous of what we've done there.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Wadata 80. What's up, gentlemen? Turnovers. That's it. Stop them. And we win against Virginia and Miami. Do we have a disproportionate number of turnovers during Mike's tenure than the previous regimes? How do we compare nationally? Let's see here. Going into the Miami game, where is turnover margin on here? Turnover margin. They were tied for 69th going into the Miami game. Let's see what they were after the Miami game. It's going to take 100th? A second. Well, give it a sec. Give it a sec. I also need to do this for the offense because I had what they were last time. They are now tied for 104th in turnover margin. That sucks. That's not good. There's like 131, 2, I don't know. Yep. FBS schools. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. To go 6 turnovers in 2 games against conference opponents, that's beyond the pale. But overall, turnovers haven't been like a huge bugaboo for this program under Mike Norvell, doesn't feel like.
Well, no, I mean, Jordan Travis rarely turned it over in 2023 for sure, and then in 2022. Yeah, I just think it comes to the quarterback, man. Like, if he has a quarterback that knows what he's doing and is confident and not careless with the ball, they're not going to turn it over much. Right now, as he talked about on Monday, they got to find a balance with Tommy because he does do so many special things. He does make so many unique, special, big-time plays. But he's got to balance. He's got to find a balance between wanting to do too much. And Norvell was even laughing, talking about that throw that we've lamented now for 2 shows, that throw to Squirrel White in the end zone against Miami on the first down. He laughed like he's like, yeah. I asked him like, what, and then he didn't finish the sentence. He's like, just tell me what you were thinking, because I think in the moment Norvell probably said, what in the F was that? But he wouldn't tell us that because he wants to, the way he talks. But he's like, so tell me what you saw. Tell me what you were thinking. Is the way he said he talked to Castellanos after that play. But that's the stuff you've got to get out of that kid. If you do, and it's a big if, because he is always a guy that's going to want to make plays, push the envelope. And if you continually get behind in games by 2 scores, he's going to feel like he has to. So quit doing that. But if he cuts that out and doesn't turn the ball over, I think they're going to win every game, Aslan. But that's an enormous if. Like, if they can win the turnover battle against Pitt, against Clemson, against Florida, they are going to win those games. I really do think that's how close things will be. Like, if they can win the turnover battle the rest of the way, then they are going to win almost all of their games, maybe all of their games. But again, I don't think that you hear that phrase turnover luck. I don't believe in that. There is a reason the 2013 team had a ton of turnovers on defense, because they were awesome. And teams felt the pressure because they were behind. And that's what you need, man. You need to put pressure on the other team because you're ahead of them, not because you're down by 2 scores. And I just think the way they've come out these last 2 games has been just gross and careless. But what are you going to do? If you just take care of business against Pitt, maybe force a couple turnovers, force a fumble, that'd be cool. Can you do that?
You know what would be cool? Can you give us winners, Corey Clark, over at Underdog Fantasy Sports?
I can, Aslan. Yeah. That's what I do.
Download the app today. Sign up with promo code WARCHANT to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. We do have a college game available as we sit here and talk, Corey. We've got NC State at Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love, 98.5 rushing yards, 24.5 receiving yards, single half or 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns combined. Higher, lower on any of those?
How many touchdowns combined?
0.5. She's got to score 1 touchdown.
Higher. Yeah, higher.
I like that.
Higher.
CJ Bailey.
That's easy money.
CJ Bailey, NC State's quarterback who's actually from the state of Florida. Interceptions thrown, 0.5. Passing touchdowns, 1.5. Passing yards, 248.5.
Ooh. I was hoping that number would be lower because I think they're going to be down and they're going to throw it a lot. I don't think Notre Dame has a great defense. Also, that spread is like 21 points. That seems outrageous. I will do – what'd you say the touchdowns were, passing touchdowns?
1.5.
Higher.
Okay. CJ Carr, or do you want to go Hollywood Smothers, the running back for NC State?
Let's do Hollywood Smothers.
72 and a half rushing yards.
Lower.
Okay. Do you want to do anything CJ Carr? CJ Carr, 262 and a half passing yards, 2.5 passing touchdowns.
I mean, I would say lower on the 262.
Okay. That gets us to an 8-1 payout, everybody.
Let's go.
Again, download the app today. Sign up with promo code WARCHANT. Score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. Millions of fans have won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks. Win money. Underdog Fantasy Sports. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, warchantbogo. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name. I guess it's just Daniel G, but he's got 3 A's and 2 N's in Daniel. Daniel G. When people assign blame to Norvell, and this is a 2-for-1, we got somebody else, our guy Greenville, also kind of the same sentiment. When people assign blame to Mike Norvell, I can't help but wonder what role or roles he really has now in a game since he's not calling the shots anymore. Well, he's calling shots. He's not calling the offensive plays. I'm sure he has input on go or no-go scenarios, but aside from grading the coordinators he's hired, shouldn't we mainly be grading him as a recruiter? And then Greenville says, wake up, gentlemen. First off, Aslan, I love your questions for Jimbo. I could hear in your voice how much fun that was for you. True.
Had you ever met him before?
Never. That was it, man.
Oh, there you go, man. Congratulations. How was it?
I mean, you guys, he's just the dude, man. He's
Yeah,
saying
I know.
He talked about we.
Yep.
He did the chop. Incredible. Corey, your column after the game was perfect. It laid it all out there. I'm in agreement that the next stretch of games decides Coach Norvell's legacy here. So that leads to the question. What can he really do to control that? It's players making the plays, and it's kind of too late to show he can recruit well enough to buy himself some goodwill. I'll admit I was not a fan of Gus, but he changed my mind with his actions so much, or rather, changed my mind with his actions. So what must Coach Norvell do to change the restless tribe and buy some time to prove he's the one?
We'll answer that one first. He's got to win games, and I'm not being flippant with that answer. You can go 6-6 and average 36 points a game or 35 points a game and beat up on East Texas A&M and Kent State and have a big win over Alabama. If you go 6-6, that just means you don't have enough good players. And whose fault is that? In year 6, that's what it's all going to come back to. And what reason do you have to think that it's going to be better in year 7? Those are the questions that will be asked if after a horrible season you don't improve immensely, and then you look around the country and you're like, well, can they go get Signetti? Like, he's doing things. Can they go get this guy, that guy, this guy, the new Heisel at UCLA? Like, all these, and that was a joke, by the way, but like there will be a lot of envy looking around the country at other coaches at lesser schools that have done more than your guy did the last 2 years. And it is all on him. He does not call the plays. I understand that. But you have to – it is his program, and it has to be appealing enough in using resources that they do have well enough that players want to come play for him, really good players. And also go get you a Malachi Toney or two. They're out – I mean, maybe not him. There might only be one of him. But Miami went and found him. I know he's from down south, but, man, maybe you could have put the full court press on that kid. And maybe he'd be scoring touchdowns for you right now.
Would you rather have him or the Desir twins?
Him. What? I'd rather have him than Tommy. I'd rather have him than Gus. That guy's incredible.
He is.
But I think that there is a world that, depending on how it plays out, and look, it's as Random John said, I don't want to throw the underscore in there, but I guess I just did. It is weird that you always say underscore. Because it's not spelled out. You could just call him Random John.
I read whatever's on the screen. Whatever's on the teleprompter, I read it.
Yeah, that's right. You're with Ron Burgundy. But, it is a lot of money to fire him. And if they go 6-6 or 7-5, there is at least I think a 50-50 chance that you run it back if you like some of the things you've seen and you like the improvement, and the recruiting class looks to be shaping up to be something that will be another good haul with impact players. Because I do think you have a much better coaching staff, and I think you have a much better evaluators of talent, and maybe one more year with those guys around Norvell will bring in more players. But also at the same time, why is it taking other guys to bring in the players after year 6? That's the counter to that. So it's gonna be really interesting. His job is to put, yes, I don't know if you'd say it's a recruiter. It's putting together a roster. He's like a general manager. I know there's somebody that actually has that role, and it's not like he doesn't do anything on game days. He's still coaching, but he is a general manager that is supposed to provide his coordinators with the best possible players. And at Florida State, you should be getting really, really good players. And it is a little bit discouraging that he's never developed a quarterback on his own, as far as like bringing him as a recruit. Jordan Travis, I think you get credit for developing that kid, but he was a Louisville recruit and was already here when you got here. And you are in year 6 and have not brought in any quarterbacks that have been able to play yet. And your offensive line is all full of transfers. Those are problems. You have to go spend a lot of money in the transfer portal to make up for your shortcomings recruiting. Well, that money could be better spent convincing Jeremiah Smith to come. But you have to go get a whole brand new offensive line. So those are the things that I think, if it comes to that, when you're projecting the future and you're projecting where you want Florida State to be in 26, 27, 28, is this the guy that can put together a roster the right way, resourceful, and also appealing to the big-time recruits? Right now, I think that's a real question mark, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a question mark. I don't think that's erroneous to think that. I don't think it's unfair to think that. If you win games, people will be okay with it. You go 9-3, people will be like, all right, we like where we're going. We like the direction they're heading. 8-4 even. You go 7-5, which means you really went 5-5, and you're sitting there another mediocre year in the ACC, which is not a great conference probably. It's hard to sell that, man. It's hard to sell that to a fan base that because of the way the sport is, you have to ask them for more money put together another roster. You have to ask them for more money. They might not believe in the guy they're giving the money to put together a roster. If you will have gone, what would that be? 9-15 in the last 2 years, 9-16 in the last 25 games. That's not appealing for people to give their money to. So solve everything and win games. There's nobody left on the schedule that you can't beat. There's really nobody left on the schedule you shouldn't beat. So go beat them.
Dude,
starting this weekend.
Should they beat Clemson at Clemson?
Yes, Syracuse did it. You're better than Syracuse. Go do it. Go do it.
Okay.
Gosh darn, maybe go beat Pitt by 40 points. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be neat? Pitt is not a great team.
Either are you.
They're ripe for a butt kicking if you come out and give it to them. But if you play with your food and you turn the ball over because you're careless, then you're going to be in a 4-quarter game and it's going to get tight. And then the team that has nothing to lose probably won't lose. And the team that feels all the pressure will lose. And then it's a spiral. So go beat the tar out of them. And, yeah, I mean, obviously Clemson is a tough game. I'm not saying it isn't. Florida, who knows, man, what that will be. But we've seen both of those teams enough to know that their best, I don't think, is as good as Florida State's best. But will Florida State give their best again? That's the question we all have.
All right, first part then, in the Immortal Wars of Bob Slidell, what would you say you do here? So I really wish we should have probably got somebody from the Ohio State website on here and ask them, like, what was Ryan Day doing last year when Chip Kelly was calling all the offensive plays? Because I know it's such a esoteric kind of weird. It's hard to contextualize what we were hoping Mike was going to do, right? It was Gus is going to take over the offense. Mike's talked about how tough it is just to be a kid in today's day and age playing college football, all the distractions, NIL, playing time, development, all these things, right? So you don't get the ability to connect with these guys enough when you're worried about the next snap in period 13 team, inside run. So it's like, all right, well, he doesn't have to worry about that as much. He won't be on the walkie-talkie. He won't have his face buried in the play sheet. He'll be able to float around more, offer, coach the coaches, put his arm around certain players if they need it. So, what can he do other than the winning games, like in terms of a more concrete approach as the head coach who doesn't have to worry about calling the plays? Like, what is he doing? Do we think? What can he do to enhance this team? Does he just need to be Tommy's best friend? Like he's just around Tommy all the time, like correcting him on this, correcting him on that. I'm at a loss too. I don't know, because I thought that he would just take a step back, CEO, big picture. It's after 3 games. Yeah, man, this is his bag. Just let him coach the coaches and let Gus cook and let Tony White cook and let Mike just do like the little things on the periphery, on the edges that makes you a good to a great team. But I don't even know what those things are at this point.
Yeah, in the moment in the season, I don't know what it's. I think it's just about pushing buttons, man. I don't think it's about like the X's and O's because you hired people for that and you're letting them do it. I think it's about pushing buttons with his coaches and pushing buttons with his players. And what does that mean? Who knows? But he's got to figure out a way for them to me, not play so tight. He even said it on Monday, like. You take care of the little things, you train them, you get them to apply what they're supposed to apply during the week on Saturday, and then you just let it loose and have fun. They weren't letting it loose Saturday night. So whatever was lost between Tallahassee on August 30th and Charlottesville on September 30th or whatever, that needs to be refound. And that's on him to do it. But yeah, in the moment, yes, his main job as a head coach was to put together this roster. And, I do think that you can take on the personality of a head coach. I do think that happens. And, it's not like people were asking what Bobby Bowden did in 1999. That worked out okay. So you can do this. And I don't think people thought he was stealing money or he didn't have any impact on the season. I think Mike Norvell can have a big impact on the season. It's his team. And I think they follow his lead. I just, what's he, no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
The pregame speech has got to be better. The halftime speech has got to be better. You got to be able to
I don't even care about that stuff.
I don't either, but what are we doing then? But what are we doing if we're not calling the plays? And like what, is he telling Gus, like, go, man, like, this drive, I want nothing but tempo. I just don't. It's an odd thing. We're paying a guy $10 million, and we really don't know what he's doing for the most important 60 minutes of the week.
But you just mentioned it. What's Ryan Day doing? Like,
I don't know. He won a national championship, so we don't care anymore.
Right, but I'm saying, like, what did he win it, or did Chip Kelly apparently win it? Like, he gets credit for that. Jim Harbaugh wasn't calling plays. He gets credit for those championships.
But he created that Michigan team took his identity. They were just a
that's what I'm saying. I think you could say that this Florida State team, we still got 7 games left.
Well, what's Mike's identity?
We don't know.
Then?
You got 7 games left.
We don't know what he is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, right, but I also think each team is its own team. Like each year is its own year, and that's going to become more and more apparent as college football, as we watch college football. I think James Franklin's a really good coach. I do. What is his team's identity? What is Sarkisian's team's identity? What is Napier's team's identity? You know what I mean? Like it's going to change from year to year, from week to week. So we will see. We will see what this team ends up being. I hope that he preaches response all the time. So much so that I'm tired of listening to it. If they respond this week and play well, good for him. Keep it going. I do think he has a lot of positive attributes as a head coach. I do think he's likable. I do think that he gets kids mostly to play hard, and I do think his players like him. Those are all commendable things. If they don't win games, nobody gives a flip. So he needs to start winning games again. But I don't want to – we can't be the show that just like, all right, he doesn't call plays, so why are you paying him? I want – half the people here want Jimbo to come back. He better not be calling plays. You're going to score 19 points a game. But what Jimbo would do is stock this roster with good players. That's Norvell's next step, is to stock it with really good players. I think they got some. I really do. They're going to need some more.
Let's take this one. It's a longer one. I'm going to parse it down, but it kind of dovetails in what we've been talking about a little bit again here. Hayden Walton, wake up, gentlemen. Since Corey asked what you guys were talking about after the Jacksonville State game last time around, I specifically remember a tremendous rant about our punter punting with both feet in that game, the game that we lost. My sarcastic question of the week, how long till we move to a much easier conference like the SEC? Our last 10 ACC regular season games were 1-9. Last 6 SEC regular season opponents we've faced, 5-1.
Damn right. Damn right.
My real question this week, I still feel this team is coached incredibly well. I think our coaches gave the players the keys they needed to victory this week, and the players failed. Am I putting too much on the players being the problem in that game, or am I right to say it was a relatively well-coached game?
I think if Tommy hits a couple of plays and doesn't look so skittish early in that game, yes, I don't think Gus choked or didn't have a good game. Now he admitted on Sunday there were some bad calls that he made that he'd like to have back, but there are also some really good plays that just weren't hit for this reason or that reason. And yeah, sometimes that had to do with it's hard to block those guys. I don't know that I would say they coached a great game or even a good game, because at the end of the day, how your players play and how the plays they don't make can also be a reflection on you sometimes.
Brother, they went for it on 4th and 8 in the first half of a one-possession game, and nobody was wide open. Like, if you're going to call a 4th and 8 play in that moment, you need to make sure you've got something that's definitely going to work.
Sure.
So
and they didn't. They didn't. But, hey, they converted the rest of their 4th downs, Haslam.
They did.
The rest of the game. And so did Miami, which was a problem. And Virginia converted their 4th downs, too. Like, that short yardage defense leaves a lot to be desired. I think they're, other than the Alabama game, where I think they stopped them on 2 4th downs, but Alabama also picked up some 4th and shorts. They have not been great at the short yardage situations on defense. I think some of that is just personnel, man. They don't have good enough players. They don't have the Miami defensive line.
So you agree with Hayden's overall thought process?
I think, I don't think the coaches. I don't think the coaches choked. I don't think the coaches melted down. What I would say though, and it was my complaint after the game, and it goes back to what we were just talking about. I thought Florida State just played tight overall. I think Tommy Castellanos played tight, not tight necessarily, just nervous. And part of that might be because he's never played in a game like that, which is understandable, right?
Correct.
But then the counter to that is, well, why does Florida State have a guy that's never played in a game like that? Oh, yeah, because you can't recruit quarterbacks on your own. So you have to go get guys from Boston College who've never played in anything close to that before, and there will be some growing pains. Right? Is that a fair criticism?
Certainly.
So that's all. But I do think Tommy, I'm really interested in how he plays this week. I really, really am. I think that he could have a great game. I think he can have a terrific finish to the season. I think he could be the big reason you win at a Clemson or you win at a Florida. But he could also be the reason you lose to Pitt if he doesn't start taking care of the football and making better decisions.
All right, there we go. That was a good show. Very cathartic. Very cathartic mailbag for all of us. I get it. But yeah, there's 7 more games left. It all starts noon against Pitt. We'll be speaking to Chris Thompson, deputy head coach, and selected players after today's practice around 11:30, 11:45. So go to warchant.com and check out the blow-by-blow as Corey live transcribes everything that's said. And then tune in for Seminole headlines. 1 to 3 o'clock. Man, Jeff was on fire on Monday, man. I'm going to go back and listen to the whole thing again. Loved it. Seminole headlines, 1 to 3 o'clock. Jeff Cameron, Irish O'Fell, Corey Clark, in no particular order. 93.3 FM, as well as Warchant TV. Go to warchant.com. Subscribe, everybody. Read Corey's awesome columns. Hit the thumbs up on the way out as well. Appreciate that. He is Corey Clark. I'm Aslan Hudjavandy. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Warchant BOGO. Buy one, get one free.